Hi, friends. So, there's two things that I want to talk about today and get you thinking. They're both fairly abstract concepts. So, bear me out, hear the whole thing, maybe re listen, and kind of form your own thoughts around them. So, the first one is around the concept of an inner mentor or an inner manager. Now, athletes have managers or coaches. Um, Movie stars have agents. Even people who act on stage have agents. Those who write books often have agents who help promote them. Um, the concept here is, what if this life that we're living is about an inner manager, an inner coach, as I'd like to call them? This inner coach is really helping our human self to rise above and to always make those higher vibrational choices. Is kind of our inner cheerleader, our best friend. Sherry Huber, in her books, very clearly calls them our inner mentor. It's the person who is our inner mother, our inner nurturer, inner supporter. This is the person who is always saying, "You're my superhero, you're my champion, you need to keep going, you're doing so well, look at all the amazing things you've done in your life. Let's just keep going," and bring those strengths to allow us to live on purpose, to live with our purpose of why we're here. Sometimes our life feels not great, only because we haven't been listening to this inner mentor. This hasn't been the voice we have been subscribing to inside. We're listening more to the other voice, the voice of our human ego, which has become embedded as mind, what we call our mind. My mind is telling me this, my mind is telling me this, and so these emotions are coming up. This is where the second concept comes in. So I was mentioning to a friend one day how I suddenly felt a pain in part of my body, and I wasn't sure where it came from because I really hadn't done anything to aggravate it. And he said to me, well, it's just the lower energy beings, you've allowed them in. And so in chatting with him further, a really cool concept formed is, we will never see these. We may be able to measure them with, technology and perhaps equipment that measures energy at different levels. And I'm sure people have done these things. But what if we always knew that there were lower energy beings that were always around? And these lower energy beings were really around so they could suck on our energy when we were subscribing to human ego and being emotional and lost in emotion. That's when these lower energy beings, these lower vibrational beings, would hold on to us and bring us further down. They would take us further away from mentor and really get us lost in that voice of inner critic, and self-hate, and the voice of gloom and doom, and that nothing is great for me. What if we became the observer for a few minutes and just focused on, who am I listening to right now? I can see the fact that there are these lower energy beings that are attaching to me and pulling me down. I can see them in other people. I can see how they are completely surrounded by these lower energy beings that are sucking and sapping the energy from them, and also making them choose things that are not great for their lives, perhaps addictive habits, perhaps addictive friends, perhaps detrimental, sort of destructive ways of living life. But what if we also recognize the voice of our coach, our inner mentor, and made the decision after observing that we would focus more on what our mentor was telling us? We would listen to that rah, you're doing great, keep going. Look at how much you've accomplished. Let's celebrate your life because you've done so well. What if we focused on listening to that voice and putting away, sort of putting to bed the inner critic mind, putting to bed kind of the hateful voice, putting to bed some of those emotions that are so heavy and strong that are coming from the low energy beings? What if we really became aware? Even if we did nothing, that awareness itself will allow you to know, I am feeling this particular way today because I'm subscribing to the lower energy being Or that I'm really focused on my mentor, I'm really listening to my coach? What if this life was really about the coach and the lower energy beings fighting or sort of vying their attention for the human? And in the end, it was up to the human to choose which side they were going to subscribe to more. Think about that.